That's just so cool. I've wanted to play with fire and photos for such a long time, but I've been a little intimidated by it. And I've always seen nothing but really cool pictures come out of that idea.
But usually, they're for sports.
But what if we use some badass ladies instead? So here's my idea. I'd like to get 1 to 3 ladies to let me cover them in glitter and set them on fire several times. Why? Because it's going to be beautiful. Is that a lot to ask for? Probably. But first I should probably practice with this whole setting people on fire thing before I really set someone on fire, and maybe practice it first with my own self safely. Okay, every video I've watched for this so far has said you really just need like 4 things, and that is a bowl of water, dish soap, and butane, as well as a lighter, and I'm just assuming a longer lighter is going to be better than a lighter that you flick open like a cigarette lighter. Perhaps I should have like some water just in case something catches on fire, like for real. Got it. All they say to do is to put some dish soap inside of a bowl and then take your butane straight down in the bowl. That's a lot of bubbles. And then you scoop it out and light it on fire. This is making me a little anxious. Okay, these are popping so fast. If you see me in the next frame and my eyebrows are gone or my hair's gone, something went wrong. Okay. Woo! Let's try this again. Okay. We're all good here. What I think I'm gonna do is practice this in a photo scenario. I'm gonna like take some selfies of myself with fire and see how hard it is to get it and what that's like for myself before I actually use this in a shoot. So I'm gonna take some portion of this afternoon to figure that out really quickly, because I feel like that's probably a very important part of this.
I tried really hard to do this alone, but it was almost impossible timing-wise. Also, sorry my light is blocking everything.
So I don't really have that much that I need to make for this shoot. Honestly, that's because she's not wearing much, just glitter. But I like options, and I like to toss things in as accessories at any given moment, so I'm gonna do a couple of different things. Some things I thought that would be cool are maybe like some claws, since I know I'm going to have her hand up like this with fire in it, and maybe a necklace or a crown. I don't know. Let's dig some things out and see what we can make.
I went straight for the metals box. My first goal was to make some really cool claws with gems on them. I may have used tweezers to put this together, but I ended up with so much super glue on my fingers after this. Next up was a crown. Not a complicated one, just something a little extra.
So one thing I noticed yesterday that I'm going to try really hard to make sure that doesn't happen today is in all of my photos when my hand was like this, there's like little bubble lines coming out of my fingers. And that's honestly because I was working alone, and taking a picture like that on your own with a timer is very hard. So what I'm definitely going to do is have her do a couple rounds of holding fire in her hands just to make sure that she can like feel it and know what it's like before we actually get to shooting, because it's basically telling everything in your body to like move because there's fire in your hands and you're not supposed to. So let's just get her acquainted with having fire in her hands first. But before they get here, I want to make sure that I have all my poses ready to go. I usually don't write down poses before a shoot. I just kind of fly off the top of my head with what I think is good. There are some things I want to make sure that I'm like truly nailing down here because we're playing with fire. So I'm going to go ahead and get that ready before they get here, and I'll see you when it's time to shoot.
I can't tell you how excited I was to cover someone in glitter. I used hair gel to keep it stuck to her. We realized that if you rub it in, it's not as shiny, so obviously we ended up adding more.
3, 2, 1. That was less dramatic.
I don't know why I held my breath.
Then it was time to let her hold the fire and see what it was like before we moved on. She was a lot more chill than I was the first time I did it. After a few test shots, I wanted to see if it was possible to create flames around her from behind. I took some foil and tried to make kind of like a bubble bridge in hopes it would all catch fire when it was lit. It did not. So my next step was to light a whole bowl on fire, followed by several more bowls, up way higher than the ground, for an absolutely epic shot. After that, I went straight into the little extra goodies that I made for the shoot, starting with the claws. And oh, those were so fun to use. Definitely added a little something extra. The crown was giving goddess vibes, and I am so glad I made it. It was really amazing. It also should be noted that you're going to need a really good shower after this. That glitter was not coming off with a wet towel.
Let's chat about some things. Number one, I learned a lot yesterday doing the shoot. I learned that fire does have a mind of its own no matter where you put the bubbles that you're working with. It might not actually be far enough away. No, nothing was badly hurt. We were all good. But one flame did kind of jump over a little bit and singe a couple pieces of hair.
No! God, please, no!
Number two, it is a good idea to have tables or something that will move up and down so that you can pop flames up higher or lower depending on where you want them. And it might also be a good idea not to just use bowls, but like maybe a metal planter box or something that's like wider. So if you want a long stretch of flames to go up and not just like a small little area, that would be much better, like a long planter box. I don't even know if they make that in metal, but we did use plastic bowls and they were fine. So if you've hung on here for the whole duration of this video, I would love it if you'd leave me a comment and maybe like my video and tell me if you have ever done anything like this before. Would you do this? And have you ever done anything like this in science classes? Because I've heard recently that a lot of you have. Until then, I will see you next time.